Pitching's all about, in this particular case, you heard Millie talking about your business and what it does, etc., etc. But more importantly, pitching's all about your audience. Because when you go to this 3-minute pitch, there's going to be 100 people there with a little remote control that are going to go vote, 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 okay? Likewise, if you're really, really lucky and you get through to the palace, you're going to get 1 minute to pitch, and people are going to go vote, 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 one way or another. So it's about them. It's getting the message over to them. So it's not about you, you, you. It is about you and your product and your service or whatever it is, but it's about persuading your audience when they're thinking, oh, that's okay, that's going to fly, that's going to work, etc., etc. Okay, so perfect pitches answer questions, because the audience is sitting there saying, I've got a lot of questions about this. What is it? What's it about? Now, instead of thinking about, well, I've got massive investment, you need to be talking about something about your money. You need to be talking about who you are and why you've got the right to be there. You need to be talking about those kind of things to get the message over to your audience, okay? It's about your vision, it's about your goals, about targets that you think you're going to make. So you start elaborating on those just a little bit to get them, tease them in there. 3 minutes you've got, okay? So you're going to tease them a little bit. Some of you have done this 3-minute pitch before. You'd be thinking then about what my markets are, you know, who are they? What's my kind of demographics that I'm going to, so that your audience can then think, oh, I've got it, that's where they're going for. Start talking about maybe a little bit about your market. Is it getting bigger or is it getting smaller? Hopefully your audience are going to be really, really smart. And you'll be standing there saying, yes, it's definitely, this is the place to go. And they'll be thinking, So just make sure you validate what your market's doing, who you're actually selling to, and what they're expecting to get. What's your competitor situation like? What's unique? What's special about you? What's different about you? There's no point saying, yes, we can do this, when everybody in the audience is thinking, but somebody else does that, and they've done it really, really well, and they've got the edge on it, and they've patented it, and so on. So just think about your competition. Is your product, service, or whatever it is how innovative is it? How much out there is it? Is it really, really, wow, this is brand new. First time I've heard that. Wow, that's absolutely terrific. It's innovative. Okay. Have you de-risked it? When I say de-risked it, I mean, have you copyrighted it? Have you trademarked it? What's your IP situation? Have you thought about that? Just be a little bit careful. And if it is something that looks as though it's a bit scary in risk, you need to tell your audience that, yeah, we've got that covered. Okay? So your audience, that's pretty straightforward. That's good. Who's in your team? What have you done before? What's your skills? Why have you earned the right to be here standing up in front of people? So give them a bit of an idea about your past. But again, it's 3 minutes. So it's really important that you structure this to get that message over to them so that everybody can actually hear why you've got the right to be there and why you've got to pitch. Thinking a little bit about the problem that you solve is quite important. So it's what you're going to do with your proposition is make people feel good, make people look good, or fix a problem for them. And if you're fixing a problem for them, what is that problem? Because your audience might not know. They might think, well, that's not really a problem, so why are they talking about fixing this? So you've got to elaborate on that. If it's a situation where your audience and, you know, thinking about Joe Public out there or really smart business people, etc., who are going to be judging this, are going to say, I'm not really aware that there is a problem, so you'll have to elaborate on that if it's a bit of an unusual one. Your intro is going to be really, really important. It's such an important part of it. Here's my intro, here's my theme, here's my story, this is what it's going to be. So it's got to have some sort of structure to it. You know, if I was thinking about this in 3 minutes, I'd be thinking, what's my agenda? What am I going to say? Here's what I'm going to tell you. It's a little bit about me, a little bit about my product, a little bit about my service. Here's the audience, here's the market, yeah. And this is what we're going to do. And here's the right for me to be here. Yeah, boom. That's an intro. I've got it. I've got the main ingredients all the way around. That's good. Okay. You want to get people hearing what the benefits are quite quickly. I see so many pitches who talk about the features of what they do. Oh, these are really great things. These are absolutely terrific. You know, you really want this and you really want this, without thinking, what does that mean to the other people that I'm going to be selling to? Because you're selling at the moment, you're going to be pitching and selling. And when you're selling, you want everybody in the audience to start nodding. Thank you very much, I get that. You know, I'm selling, I'm in selling mode. And I only buy when I can see the benefits of what those features are. I don't buy on features, I buy on the benefits to me, or my market, or my company, or my organization, etc. Okay. It's about the famous American radio station WIIFM, what's in it for me, from their perspective, okay? It's not you, it's not about you now, you've introed yourself, it's now about your audience and what they get and how they're going to buy and if they're going to buy. Okay, when you get to showtime, because that's what it's going to be, you need to start thinking about enjoying yourself. So you need to start thinking about how can I get to the state of mind to be able to go up there, and when they're counting down and you think there's 2 in front of me, 1 in front of me, it's me, and it goes bang, get on the stage, and it's slide the intro up there. How are you going to calm yourself before you do that? So it doesn't matter who you are, how many times you've done it before, every single one of these, even me standing here, my knees are knocking, well not quite, but close. You know, I'm thinking, what am I going to say, what am I going to do? I'm just a little bit nervous, so how do I calm myself? Nice deep breathing, relax yourself. Remember something that was really, really good that happened to you before. You know, I'm very lucky because I have a skill in visualization, and what I do is I close my eyes and I breathe nice and deeply, and I remember things that went really, really well. So I get myself in a good state of mind. I'm very lucky because because of my initials, I have an office in every building in the world that I can go and relax before I do a presentation. It's called WC. It's not the best place in the world to go deep breathing, especially not through your nose. However, it is a place that nobody's ever stopped me going before I rush in to do a presentation, and I can go and calm myself and relax and get myself prepared and into a good state of mind. You've got to show your passion for what you're doing. There is no point being up there and absolutely deadpan about what you're doing. You've got to show your passion. It's about, you want everybody in that audience, whoever they are, to be passionate about what you're doing and what your product and what your service is. If you're not passionate about it, they're not going to be passionate about it. Passion's infectious. Enjoyment's infectious. Just think about that. Be animated. You'll notice that I'm quite animated when I'm talking. However, I've seen so many pictures and presentations that are so animated you can't know what they're doing and what they're pointing at and everything like that. It's just be a little bit animated is good. That's great to get that message over. But be a little bit in control. Make sure your sound is good. So you're going to be there with a microphone, I'm guessing. How many of you use the microphone? Good. Okay, just think about that. It's not a clip-on microphone because there's going to be so many of you going there that there's no time to go change that one over and clip it on here and it's going to fall on and so on. So it's going to be a handheld microphone on a lectern, okay, with a lectern. Okay, so again, if you're practicing it and walking around like this, and I'm sorry, I'm out of picture now, and walking around like this, and I'm out of picture now, and your microphone is on a lectern there in front of you, you need to be thinking about that and practicing it. It's not about a perfect movie situation. This is not the perfection that anybody is looking for. I'm not part of the judging panel. However, if I was, I wouldn't be looking for perfection in your delivery, your everything, your show, your acting ability, or anything like that. I'm looking about your content, your coverage. Do you tick all the boxes? Because that's what I'm there. I'm doing a mental checklist and checking this. Now, it's all about being confident. And for me, confident is only one of two things, and to put the two of them together, it's dynamite. It's about practice and rehearsal. So you're going on stage to present something that is really important to you and you hope is really important to your audience out there. And if you practice and rehearse it, you never ever see the best actors or pitchers in the world go up there and go, yeah, I did it yesterday. I just went through this one time. Here we go. I'm going to pitch it to you all now. I forgot my lines. I'm a bit uncomfortable. I'm a bit nervous. Because if you practice and rehearse and you get to that confident state of mind, that's great, because your pitch is life-changing, potentially. If your pitch gets winning this, the PR that you're going to get out of it, the kudos that you're going to get out of it, I've got another trophy in my cabinet, thank you very much, or the first one, look at this. Everybody that comes into your office, you talk about it, you include it in all your PR, in all your website and everything like that. I won. I'm a winner. And then you start to think about what investment, what's the cash prize, what, people are going to go, you won that? Wow. Wow, the last guy that won at Pitch in the Palace, or the last company that won, or the last woman that won at Pitch in the Palace has gone on to these fantastic things. And the PR and the kudos you get out of it. So it's life-changing. Please, please, please think about how you practice and rehearse this. There are two different things, practice and rehearsal. So just think about what you would do on a stage play or something like that. Am I at the right area? Am I going to project myself well enough? And what's the audience seeing? Because you want the audience to give you a standing ovation at the end of the day. That's what your target is, okay? The getting in a great state of mind is something that I have to stress over and over and over again. Because I get a lot of people, and we see a lot of people who come along to us to try and pitch something, and they come along and they've got all of this stuff in front of them. But it's not organized in some sort of structure, and because they've got all of this stuff, their heart rate is up, it's beating like crazy, and they're in this side of their brain, and they can remember 7 things in this side of their brain, rather than over here, 10 to the 11th, which I think is quite a big number. Not very good at maths, but there's a lot of stuff. So you want to be in your imagination, your capability, relaxed and calm and confident and comfortable with what you do. So great set of mind is the very first thing. The second thing I want you to think about is, what's my structure? Here's my agenda. This is what I'm going to get over. I'm going to open up by telling them what I'm going to tell them. You've heard this story before, the way the military do pitches. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you've told them. Okay, it works. So what you want to do is to let them know what the agenda is, what's coming up. Here's what's on the radar. Here's some interesting stuff that's going to come along. And then you're going to elaborate on those points a little bit more. And you're going to give them some detail, some background, and put some structure around it. And then you're going to summarize it and reflect on it in the very end. And you're going to leave them wanting more, not too much more. Okay? Your 3-minute pitch is so important that you close with something that goes kaboom. Wow, that's really important. That's the last thing I'm going to remember. I'm just making my notes here. Bing, 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 all the green lights or whatever it's going to be. You're quite lucky because, fortunately enough, you're not going to go, get off, in the middle or anything like that. It's going to be at the end of voting, so that's quite useful. So think about summarising it and what you're, excuse me, what you're going to leave them with, how important it is. This is one shot you're going to get. Now, you might be going in for another competition, but I want you to think about this as one shot. I'm going to give it my best. In a lot of the work that I do, either in business coaching or various other areas, sorry, excuse us, Facebook Live, there's somebody crawling under the table at the moment around my feet. You get one shot at this, so make sure you do your best and you plan it. So thinking about your structure, it's a story. All stories have really, we've got a power outage here. No, it's okay, right. All stories have a great intro. I was walking along the beach and then this happened, and out of the darkness something came. Open it up. Make them want to hear a little bit more. Your story's got some different parts and different players all the way through it. Sticking to one theme all the way through. All the best writers and all the best book writers stick to one theme all the way through. So you want to be doing that. All the best pitchers stick to one theme all the way through. This pitch, this presentation is all about pitching. It's the one theme all the way through. Everything points to that I'm talking about today. So, thinking about the theme, and then every single great book that you've ever read in your life, or a business book or anything like that, goes kabang at the end. So, keep thinking about that. Strong. I don't know how you normally pitch or present. Sometimes I use these, often I use PowerPoint. You're not allowed to use PowerPoint, you're not going to be able to go flickety-flickety-flick. Sometimes that's very good that you're not allowed to use that, because quite often people will do this when they're looking at PowerPoint and presenting PowerPoint, so you're not going to do that. So what are you going to do? Are you going to script it beautifully? Are you going to have prompt cards? You're all familiar with doing that kind of thing. I quite often use index cards with great big writing because I wear these things. And for short-sightedness, and quite often I'll go in to do a presentation and it's dark out there. There's a little light on the podium and I can't see anything. So, thinking about how you're going to do this, you go, yeah, I've got these lovely notes. Okay, here they are in very small format, and I go, can't read them. Still can't read them. Think about what you're going to do. Are you going to use prompt cards, index cards? Are your index cards numbered? I've seen people present on stage and pitch on stage, and they've got all these index cards, and something happens and they drop them. And then they pick them all up and they're not numbered, so they don't know where they are, where they were, what they were doing, etc. So how are you going to do this? Are you going to learn it off pat? 3 minutes off pat? Good luck with that. So have a think about how you're going to do this, not just what you're going to do. On the night, on the day. The 1 minute pitch is different. I understand at the Palace, when you get through to the Palace, and I'll look forward to watching that, when you get through to the Palace, there is probably a teleprompter there. No? No. There isn't a teleprompter there, so don't worry about that. Right, that's good. Right. That's taking that right out of the equation. Okay, so therefore you need to be thinking, how am I going to do this? 3 minutes long. Because it's really, really important that you do think about that. How many times have you been to a presentation or a pitch where people just read off the notes? You have no rapport with them, no good feeling, you don't really know what's going on in there. Very uncomfortable, for me anyway. I really like to be connected, I like to see what they're looking at, I like to have a look at their body language. So let's talk about that kind of thing. You're talking about body language here. Body language is 50-odd% of your message that you're communicating. Okay? Stat. We know this from past experience, from the books and everything like that, that your body language is really, really important. So if you are holding something like this, and you're not animated, and you're reading from a script, and you occasionally look up from it and then don't remember where you were, etc., you're already communicating way below par. 50+% of your message that you're getting over is in your body language. So have a little think about that. What are you doing? How do you rehearse it in front of a mirror and everything like that? Are you doing all sorts of stuff, or are you saying, this part is really important, or this is, or really it's wide open, and so on? What are you doing about it? If there's something important that goes past, you need to mark it somehow or other. This is really important. This is a very, very, very important thing, rather than, this is a really important thing. I just want to stress it over and over and over. It's a very, very important thing. What does my body language tell me? I'm protecting myself. What does my body language tell me? I'm being arrogant, or I'm closed. What does my body language tell me? I'm feeling comfortable, and tell my audience that that's what I'm going to do, and it's over to you, and so on. So body language is crucially important. It's 50+%. Another 30-odd% of communicating. And normally what I do, if this was a longer session, is we would have a bit of a barter going back and forward and bounce it back and see whether you answered the questions right and so on and so forth, and see who the smart asses in the room or on the video are. The next most important thing is your tonality and the volume of your voice. Because we've all been to Edward Mulhouse husband presentations before. They're going, yes, really, it's a very, very important thing that we're doing today. All in monotone. And we don't want to do that. We want to modulate our voice and mark things even with our voice, not just with our body language, okay? That's 30-odd% of your message that you're getting over, is the modulation and the tonality and the marking using your voice. So really, really, really important. The weird thing is, in communications, when we're doing pitching or presenting, the weird thing is that only 7% of your message is in the words that you're saying. 7, 8, 9, 10, roughly, that kind of area. So what are you going to do with those words? You really need to modulate those words. You need to make it interesting. You need to be smiling a little bit about your body language is great. If you're closed, if you've got your back around here. If the other most important thing, the other really important thing is eye contact. What am I doing with eye contact? I've been going around and chatting hopefully to the guys and girls on there and giving them a bit of eye contact as well. But I've been having a look around the room to see who's kind of paying attention as well. So give eye contact. It's 2 or 3 seconds. It's all you need to wander around the room and just pick out some people that are interested. If there's 100 people in the room and it's in pick, the ceiling's a bit low, make sure you get the ones that are there that you can actually see and get some eye contact with them. Get something going. Get some rapport going. You've heard of the word? So just get some rapport going. That watching them and you're delivering a message and you're nodding and you've got this and you watch the audience and they're nodding as well. Good. Got them. Bring them in. You want everybody to be nodding at the same time as you. So thinking about that eye contact. How are we doing with time?
Yeah, we're on 20 minutes to go.
20 minutes to go. I've got 20 minutes to talk to you about, but never mind. Okay. Just coming back again to recap and do another bunch of steps in here. So pitching is about going to elaborate on that, and here's how we're going to wrap it up. Bang. Okay. That's what pitching is, your audience. The way might be for you to think about the way that a company strategy would work. So we use company strategy being in 5 kind of steps. The first step being, what's my goal? What's my vision? And what do I want to get out of this? So if I was thinking of running a business and starting a business, which is some of you are doing that, some of you already got businesses, successful businesses, and you've got something new, or you're taking that and having a go at pitch at the palace to get some recognition, some kudos, some winning, some investment, etc., etc. So thinking about that, point number 1 in building a strategy is all about your goal, your vision, and who you are, and what right you have to be there. So if you were to start off by saying that and making that part of your structure, that this is, here's my goal, here's my vision for my business, and this is what it's going to look like, and you start painting that picture, and here's success would be this, 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 and this. That might be an interesting way to start pitching, because it's a structure that really works. And this comes from Harvard Business School. Not just me, I use it, but it's been used all over the world. So thinking about what my structure is, I'm thinking, let me look at point number 1. What's my strategy? What's the way I'm going to go forward? It's about an outline plan that says, my product's unique, it's going to make this much money, here's my targets, here's my goals, this is what success would look, sound, and feel like. And the reason I say look, sound, and feel like, and I chuck that on the table now, people have different ways, preferred ways of communicating. You familiar with this? You guys on the screen? People are familiar with visual, auditory, and kinesthetic ways of communicating. So at this point, let's just jump off and take a little tangent here. People prefer to communicate in one of 3 different ways unless It's olfactory and gustatory, unless you're a winologist. Sniffing or gustatory, I'm a chef. Well, we don't have any of those. It's the technology business in here at the moment. So visual, auditory and kinesthetic. How are you speaking all the time? Are you saying, look at this, can you see that? I'm going to draw you a picture of this, and it looks good, and so on and so forth. Or are you saying, actually, this feels really good to me, and I can feel that this is the way it's going to go. And I've touched on various different things as the way that people communicate preferred kinesthetically. So visual, preferred, it's about 33% of the population. Auditory is the other one. Do you know what it sounds like? Yeah, can you hear what I say? Yeah, can you hear what you say? You know, and are you listening to what's going on? And so on and so forth. Those people communicate preferred, everybody communicates in all sorts of ways, but they prefer to communicate auditorially. And kinesthetically is about 40% of the population. So unless you're sprinkling your words, either visual words, auditory words, or kinesthetic words, in your presentation and in your pitching, you're going to miss out on some of the audience. Because they're trying to draw a picture of what you're talking about and sounding like and various other things, or they're trying to get a good feeling from something that you're drawing a picture of. So have a little think about that. When you read your pitch and your presentation and go through it, just go through a little checklist. Have I covered everything? So when you came in here, I started talking about what it's going to look like for today and the sounds that we're going to talk about and so on. And I threw in lots of different things so that I actually managed to capture, hopefully, your attention. And hopefully, your attention if you're still there. Because people prefer to communicate, prefer to learn in one of those three particular ways. Okay, so just sprinkle that in there. Okay, so an outline plan in strategy terms says, here's what I'm going for. This is the plan. Here's the outline. There's some milestones along the way, and it's over the next couple of years, etc., etc. And this would be an ideal situation. And here's what I've done to get this, and here's why I've got the right to be here to pitch to all of you. So strategy. Strategy number one, goals and vision. Strategy number two is quite important because it's about where do I want to play and where don't I want to play. Now, to elaborate on that, what's my market? What is my market? What is my market? What's my demographics in my market? You want to be outlining, I'm talking lots and lots now, and giving you loads of things, but you need to be picking up one or two or more of those. What's my market? Is it growing? Is it shrinking? What kind of business am I? Am I business to business? Am I business to client, B2C? Or am I business to client? Who's my end user? You need to be telling people how you deliver the value to those particular end users. Who are your end user? Who is your purchaser? Are you going by distributors? How are you going to get this out there? How are you going to get your message out? What regions am I going to be in? Where am I going to play? Where am I not going to play? I'm not going to play in Europe. Well, maybe nobody's going to play in Europe over the next couple of years, but you never know, depending on which newspaper you read or which news story you look at. So, which region am I going to be in, etc. And are my markets growing? There's no point talking about going into a market for coal-fired power stations because guess what? That's kind of shrinking now, according to Somerset last week. So, who knows? Right, number 3, and there are only 5 of them, okay? So number 3 is about why would we buy from you? Okay, what's special about you or your business? Why on earth would I buy your product? Or why would I buy it from you? Because if it's not innovative or different or a game changer or whatever, or disruptive in the market, why would I buy from you? Because if it only comes down to price, given the size of the businesses that we've got that we're talking about, you ain't going to win. Because everybody else can undercut you just to put you out of business. You've heard all sorts of horror stories over your careers of, yeah, that's a great thing. Look at this electric car. I remember as an apprentice working on an electric car 1.5 million years ago in East Kilbride in Scotland, and BP came along and bought it, and it's never been seen the light of day. So what's unique and different about your product that means it's quality, or there's a bunch of them that you need to be thinking about? Is it quality? Is it service? Is it speed? Is it reliability? What is it about you that would make me or your client base, your potential client base, or in this particular case, pitching at the Palace and your audience, what would make them buy you? Because that's what they're doing. They're buying you and what you're saying. What's special? Quality, price, service versus the competition. That's what we're talking about. Not just about a market out there that we can go and sell to, it's against the competition. Who are you fighting against? Why are you better? Has everybody seen the triangle of good, cheap and fast? Okay? When you're talking to somebody about good, cheap and fast, it's pick any two. If it's good and cheap, it's not going to be fast. If it's good and fast, it's not going to be cheap, and so on. So start thinking about what you're doing. What's your message out there? Is it quality, service? What is it that's going to make you beat your competition? Don't go talking about your competition because people might not have thought you had any competitors, and you're just going to tell them. They go, oh yeah, that's right, yeah, well, you're never going to beat them, so don't talk about your competition at all. Keep that completely secret to yourself, but talk about how you would win against competitors. IP. I'm going to touch on it again. It's crucially important that everybody, thank you, if everybody is saying, here's what it is, isn't this fantastic, it's wonderful, and your audience is sitting there thinking, wow, I sincerely hope they've got that protected, because I'm going to be phoning while he's talking, or she's talking, and say, have you heard of this idea, isn't it wonderful? You know, just check if it's IP protected. And they go, no, there's nothing launched. Before you get out there doing your pitch, by the end of the day, somebody's already launched a new business. Now, I had a client here who went along to a fund manager, should remain completely nameless, who went in the door and had a discussion with this fund manager, and I was saying, please don't tell him anything, please don't, please don't, please don't, keep it to yourself, it's secret. I know you haven't had a chance to, trademark it and various other things yet, but I know you want the money for it. And by the time he'd walked out the front door, there was a business already out the back door. Okay, so how do you protect it? Plenty of ways of doing that. Go and talk to an IP specialist, okay? They'll do an audit for you, quite often free of charge. Just think about that if you haven't done it already. IP protected, crucial. When you're talking about your pitch just now and your product or your service or whatever it is, you have to give your audience a little bit of a future view. So rather than saying, yeah, this is what it is now, haven't got any team, nobody's in place, haven't got any premises, I'm sure it'll work, it'll be absolutely fantastic. That happened with Google, they did that. It happened with IKEA, it happened with Richard Branson. He had two phones, one kind of funny shaped phone and one of the round phones, and things like that. He did that, they did that, you can't do it now. Okay? So you want to give them a little bit of a future look at what your business is. Actually, I know some people who are willing to join me. And I'm not going to give you the details in detail, however, I've identified who they are and they're willing to join us because they've got those kind of skills. And that would be great to augment my skill, etc. Being an entrepreneur or being a business owner and launching this new, whatever it is, product and service, you need to also be able to signpost that we've got the people lined up ready to work with us, all the skills. Hire into your skills gaps, etc., and let them know that that's on the way. Because they're going to be saying, I wonder if this is scalable, which is point number one of new businesses. Oh, that sounds great, it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, you can do this and you can sell that, that's great. You want to sell 2 more? You have to bring in 2 more people. That's not very scalable. I can do 1-to-1, 1-to-many, 1-to-multiple, I can broadcast it, and so on and so forth, a bit like we're doing today. So, do I have the skills teams in place at some stage to line up and help me for the future that'll just get my product, service, whatever it is, absolutely flying. The last point in strategy is looking at systems, processes, controls. Now, if you're an established business and you're launching this business via pitch at the Palace, and you want to give them an idea that there's something quite unique and quite new, they'll really want to know if you are 10 million, 12 million, 2 million, $1.5 million, that you've got cash flow forecasting in place. You don't have to go through in detail and tell them all that. That's not what this is about, and certainly not the 1 minute to go to the Palace, but you've got to get the 1 minute to go to the Palace by this 3-minute one. So people will want to know that you've thought about this. We are doing this. We have got a mini MIS system in. We've got a CRM system in place. We're doing cash flow forecasting, and we've got the planning tools in place. Or we will have when that happens, or that stage happens. So thinking about systems in place. Have I got contracts with my suppliers? Everything relies on me getting the raw materials from one person in the world. Okay. Everybody in the audience is going to say, have you protected that source? Have you got a rock solid contract in place? You would be very, very surprised at how many people do not do that in business. Okay? Very, very, very surprised. So, quick recap. Nearly there. Got about 5 minutes left, so says my able-bodied friend over there. State, most important, point number 1. Calm, confident, comfortable, practiced, rehearsed. I know where I'm going to stand. I've just now heard. I've got a podium, that's great. I can put my notes on it. I've got a microphone there. How do I normally present? I normally present by wandering around like this, okay? I better get that practiced slightly differently. So, how can I go in there nice and calm and comfortable? I better practice doing that. Relaxing myself, calming myself down. What's going to happen when it's going around and it's coming up to my slot? How am I going to feel when that happens? I have to say that even I get like that when we're going around a great big round table of 20 people, and they go, right, we'll start from, and I'm on that side, right on the corner there. Right, we'll start from here, and we'll go all the way around the table. And everybody else pinches your story, first of all, okay? And then it gets to you, and you're going, well, what can I say now? Stomach's going over. How do you calm yourself down? Calm, confident, getting a nice set. What's my structure? If you would think of an organizational chart, my goals and my vision are at the top there. Down comes the arm, out it goes, into several different arms down here. That's my structure. That's my agenda. What is my agenda? How am I going to do that? Okay. The last point you need to be thinking about is, what's my content? What's going to go under each section of that? My agenda, my main point, my wrap up at the end. Kaboom! What's the knockout punch right at the very end that I'm going to leave them with? And they're going to say, wow. How many pitches have we got coming up?
22.
22 pitches. You might be in the middle, but you still want to leave them with a knockout blow. Last place is going to be the best place to be, except it's the scariest place to be. Oh, apart from the first place, okay? Who's going to go up there and talk and pitch and present. Everybody's got an equal chance. Doesn't matter where you are, as long as you leave them with something that they'll remember. Practice and rehearse. Go through your timing. I'll be perfectly honest with you, I've not timed this, okay, at all. But we're just about to turn over the second last page, and we have 3 minutes to go. 2 minutes to go. Oops! Panic! Okay. Go through your timing. Go through it over and over and over. Practice and rehearse like a perfectionist. Get ready to think about it on the day and be a realist. Because that's what's going to happen. No matter how well you are prepared, something will happen. While I've been talking to you guys, everybody's been crawling under the table here trying to get the cable work. But that's okay, you know. You just have to put up with that kind of thing. Practice like a perfectionist. On the day, think about it being a realist. Make sure that If you have got, and you do want to go through and say the whole thing, you could say it to a mirror, record it, time it, etc. Listen to your own voice. Lots of people get a bit spooked by this, and they go, yes, and here's my presentation, and then they play it back and go, who the hell is that? So just hear your own voice, notice what your intonations are, think about your body language. Benefits, benefits, benefits of working with you. Your audience will get that right away. So just thinking about wrapping it right up. What am I going to give them? What are they going to go away thinking? Wow, what's in it for me? I'm definitely going to buy it from that person. Or that sounds like such an interesting business to be. I'd love to partner with them. I would put my hand in my wallet right now and buy shares in that organization. That's what you want to leave them with, okay? And I'll leave you with that. Thanks very much. Hope you've enjoyed that. I hope that's been useful for you. See you guys there.